Hopefully my internet doesn't go. Let's see. All right. Yeah, let's see. Let's see.
I can hear a vacuum.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird. I think that's my computer. Hold on. All right. So that is the Facebook link I'm about to share right now. Facebook link. All right. I'm about to text it to you right now so you can share it. And you know what? What I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna do some stuff in the background, and we can go ahead and get going. So let's see. There we go. There we go. All right, we ready to roll?
All right.
All right.
You sure?
And I'm gonna jump off real quick. I'm gonna do some stuff. I'm gonna send you the link for the YouTube one too. But I'm gonna be right back, and then I'll jump right back in.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We are live. Jobs for Nevada's graduates. My name is Matt Bauman. I'm a specialist at White Pine High School. You probably don't know where that is. If you take the state of Nevada and fold it from top to bottom and in the crease all the way to the far east is Ely, Nevada. We hear a lot about job opportunities offered in Reno and Las Vegas, but we don't hear a whole lot offered in the rural areas. But I have with me today Luke Smith. He's the lead wind technician at Siemens Wind Farm in Spring Valley, which is located just east of Ely. And I'm happy to have Luke. He's one of my personal friends, so thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
So, Luke, when I first met you, you told me that you were a wind technician, and I was like, wow, that sounds really complicated, and it requires like a whole ton of education and stuff. What was your reaction to that?
It's kind of shocking because a lot of people think that it takes years and you have to have so much experience with mechanical tooling and fixing stuff, and that's not the case at all. So mechanical experience will help, but you don't need it. So I had very little, and I became a technician. It wasn't hard. The schooling that I went to was only 7 months long, so it wasn't like you were going to school for 4 years and you had to. Oh, I'm going to go to school for 4 years, and then maybe 2 years after that, I'll find a job where I want. So right after I graduated, a month after I graduated, I got a phone call from here saying, "Hey, we have a job opening in Ely, Nevada. Are you interested?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Wow, that's amazing. And just before we get too far into it, I just wanted to talk a little bit about. I don't know, when you told me about this and you said that it took very little education, and then you didn't have to be like a mechanical genius to work there either. I kind of had my doubts. Um, what type of student were you growing up? Just so people get a feel for who you are.
So in high school, well, all throughout school, I did okay in school. I wasn't like no brainiac or anything like that. I was more of like the goofball, just doing just enough to get by. Uh, yeah, so I wasn't like your 4.0 grade point average. I was more of just like I'm gonna do this so I can pass, and then if I can do better than that, okay. But if it requires a lot, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. And what did you have planned when you were in high school? What did you have planned for after high school? Were you thinking about after high school, or were you just kind of?
I was just going day by day. I had my mind set on being a carpenter for the rest of my life, but after I learned about wind energy, that quickly changed, and that's where I am today. And it was the best decision I've ever made.
And a lot of people get your age mixed up. They think that maybe you might be a little bit older. I think it's the beard, but how old are you?
I just turned 24 on Monday.
Okay, and you've been working at this location for 2 years. This was your first job?
Yeah,
First job in wind?
Yep, 2 years in May. So
Yeah.
I hopped on Siemens when I was a brand new 22 years old.
And so when you were what, 20 or 21, you went to school for this?
Yep. So how I heard about the school is my wife's good friend, her husband was in wind, and they were traveling all around the country. They were going to Oklahoma, Texas, Pennsylvania, all over the place, and they were just living life. And I'm like, dude, that sounds amazing. What do you do? And then he continued to tell me about it, and he told me where he went to school and how easy like it was. It wasn't like you had to go to school for 4 years, like I said earlier. And I said, "This is awesome." So I went to go check it out, and it was awesome.
And where was the school located?
I'm from Michigan, so it was located in Canton, Michigan. It was kind of in the Detroit metropolitan area, but there's wind schools all around the world, all around the world, but all around the United States. So my buddy went to one in South Dakota. There's some up in Portland, Oregon, so it's not too terribly far from here. I'm pretty sure there's a couple in Southern California. So they're all over the place. They're maybe not in the exact town you want, but it's only 7 months, so I'm assuming you could find a way to make it work.
And as far as the individual school that you went to, I know you can't speak to the other schools, but about how much did you pay for that?
Okay, so there's two different programs you can go through. So you can get your associate's degree in wind energy, which is a 14-month program, which still is more than cut in half of what a normal college would be, and that was about 25,000. But if you take just a wind certificate course, like myself, it was only a 7-month course, and after taxes and everything like that, or it was around 17,000. So once again, half of what you'll pay going to a university and a job career that you might get.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't pull it up right now, but Miss Amy Rucker said she missed what industry that you work in.
Wind energy. So I work on wind turbines.
So those, oh, here it is. So those big giant wind turbines or those windmills, which Luke absolutely detests them to be called, that's what it is that he does for a living, is that he does the maintenance and repairs on those. Let's see. So it doesn't sound like there's a huge waiting period to get hired on.
That's
I imagine that depends on the location, but
yeah, that's correct. But so wind energy, as of I haven't checked this year's, but as in 2019, it was the fastest growing job field in the world. So it was at 109 growth rate per year. So for all of you that don't understand how big that is massive. Like triple the size of Walmart or anything like that. It's huge, and they're going up everywhere. Yeah.
Miss Amy says, "Do you have to be certified for what you do?" Can you speak to that a little bit? Because recently we just had another friend of ours, Russell. He just got hired on, and he didn't go to school at all for this. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. So to get hired, you do not have to be certified in any specific thing. So this is how I can personally speak for Siemens, because that's who I work for. So if you have zero experience, you're not certified in anything, you'll apply, and if they decide to hire you, you'll go to their training center in Orlando, Florida. You'll be there. Our new hire class, our specific new hire class is about 3 weeks. You'll spend down there in Orlando, and they'll certify you in rescue, advanced rescue, fire awareness, mechanical handling, and everything you need to be everything you need to be certified to be safe out in the field. That's where you'll get your certifications, is at their training center.
And I imagine if you went to school, you would probably have at least have some consideration over people that don't.
Yes. So that's a huge poll, and so Siemens is the second biggest wind company in the world. And if you don't go to, some people get lucky, like our friend Russell, where you just hop right on with a really good company like Siemens that quickly, but that rarely ever happens. So going to school, I do recommend very strongly, because once you have that on your resume saying that you have put forth that much effort into the wind industry, then they're like, let's interview this guy because he knows more than that guy over there because he didn't do anything.
Right. You had mentioned when we were getting ready for this interview the difference between a stationary technician versus a travel tech. What do you have to say about that? Stationary. Well, first probably describe what those are for the people that don't know.
Okay, so there are two different kind of technicians. There are stationary, like myself, where I work in Ely and I live in Ely. So this is my home, and you get paid, what your contract says. So like Siemens will say you'll get paid X amount of dollars, and that's what you get. Now, if you're a traveling technician, this is kind of the cool part. So those of you that are listening that are young and you really don't know what you want to do, this is perfect in my eyes. So once you get hired on as a traveling technician, you'll get hired on with a contracting company. What a contracting company is they will hire Airways as a big traveling company. They'll hire you to work on a specific farm, and then you'll work there for, let's say, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 years, and then you'll travel to a different site. But the cool thing about a traveling technician is not only do you get your salary pay, you also get something that's called per diem, and that's tax free in your bank account every week. So we'll put it in this perspective. So a stationary technician, you'll start out at, let's say, 75,000 a year. A lot of you are like, dang, that sounds pretty good. And it is. That is sweet. So traveling technician will get 75,000 a year plus their per diem every day. And a lot of their companies will pay them $90 a day. So if you do the math on $90 a day plus your salary, you're going to be making crazy dollars.
Yeah. And I was just blown away. I mean, this is almost seems like an opportunity that's too good to be true, to where I could go to school for 7 months. I could make $75,000 as a stationary technician, or 75,000 plus $90 a day. What do you guys work, 5 days a week?
Yeah.
So that's what, $450 a week. 90 times 5, yeah, 450, and then times
Well, that
450 times.
that per diem 7 days a week.
Oh, wow. So it would be 365 days that you would get paid $90 a day just in per diem?
Correct.
90 times 365. So you're looking at over $100,000 a year for an industry that takes at most 7 or 14 months of education. Most of the training is done on the job. I mean, this is probably the best kept secret in the job industry, in my opinion. I can't think of another job that pays more than this.
No, and that's why I like anyone who asks me about it, I will, take however long you want for me to talk about it, because we can go back to my story. So when I was living back in Michigan, I was a carpenter making $25,000 a year if I was lucky. That's livable, but not very comfortable. And then all I had to do was take 7 months, and I more than tripled my salary, and my job's easier. It's
Wow.
kind of a no-brainer if you ask.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. I mean,
And go ahead.
I can just remember being a high school kid. I was not real motivated as a high school student. And if somebody told me that I could go to school for 7 months or 14 months and get a job that I'm making more than my dad, who's worked 40 years in the same industry,
Exactly.
right out of the gate, I just can't believe it.
And also another good thing about the wind industry is you move up fast. So let's say if you get a job traveling, they'll start you off at, let's say, $20 an hour, and you're like, whoa, this stationary guy over here gets paid 25. What am I doing over here traveling? But once you see that per diem, you realize you make 30,000 more a year than he does, and he gets
Yeah.
to travel, see other sites. He gets to go a whole bunch of cool places. And well, I can speak for myself. My first year, I did a lot of traveling, and I made well over $75,000. And
Wow.
I was 22 years old, and I went from $25,000 a year to $110,000 a year.
And where were some of the places that you traveled to?
So I've been to Northern California about 100 times, which is beautiful country up there. And then I've been to Hawaii. Yeah, they paid for me and my family to go to Hawaii. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, tell that story a little bit.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. We were on our way to go out of Ely, is very remote. It's about 3.5 hours to the nearest Walmart. So we packed up one Saturday, and we were driving, and my boss called me, and I was like, why is my boss calling me on a Saturday? especially this late. And she calls me. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Just going to Walmart with my family." She's like, "Well, how about we turn around because you're going to go to Kwailoa, which is a wind farm in Honolulu, Hawaii, in the morning." So it was 5 o'clock Ely time. So we had drive back home, get packed, and go straight to the airport. So I was driving down a desert road 1 hour, and then the next hour I was driving to Las Vegas to hop on a plane to go to Hawaii.
And they paid for your plane ticket and your hotel and.
Yep. So they paid for my hotel, my rental car, my food while I was there, my entertainment while I was there. They paid for everything. And let's say that you guys have families. I hope you don't in high school yet. But if you do, and my family came with me too, so they got to experience Hawaii for practically free, which is
Wow.
pretty. Because I know a lot of people that have always wanted to go to Hawaii, but I mean, who has $10,000 to just go on vacation?
Yeah,
It's not
for
like,
real.
and they didn't. We flew Comfort, which is right behind first class. They put us up in a 5-star hotel. They gave us a super nice rental car. It was it's incredible how much. So when I worked, I'll rewind for a minute. So when I worked in Michigan, you could definitely tell like my boss didn't really care about his employees. I'm like, this is kind of crappy. So when I came over to Siemens, it blew the doors off of me because I didn't realize like, wow, this company actually cares about you. And it's kind of a crazy aspect to consume because they have, 5,000 employees, but you can actually go up to the CEO of Siemens and talk to him if you feel the need to, and he'll sit there and talk to you. And they actually care about you and your family. And I don't know, it's just this job has been amazing.
Yeah, it sounds that way. What about opportunities for advancement? Oh,
Yes.
well, let's get to Amy's question first. Sorry, Miss Amy. She says, "What benefits does your individual job offer?"
Okay, so I should have got a list, but they do the 401k and they match up to 8%, which is huge. So if you put, 8% in, they match that, which is pretty awesome. And they have health, dental, vision, every benefit you can pretty much think of, they have. Does that answer your question? I know it's kind of vague, but
Yeah, well, I can just speak. I was a optician for a short time before I took the job with Jag, and Siemens has like one of the best eye plans. I can't speak for anything else, but they have one of the best eye plans. They go through VSP, and I mean, you get like basically you just go in, tell them what you need, and they'll just give it to you. You don't have to pay much of anything of a copay. So
yeah, their vision is pretty awesome. I mean, they even get down to like if you need prescription sunglasses or safety glasses, they'll pay for those too.
yeah. Getting back to where I was going, let's see. Uh, Opportunities for advancement. Oh, well, let's take out opportunities for an advancement, and then we'll get to Marcus's question as far as are there any other careers related to yours?
Okay, so advancement, you said, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there is huge advancements and Siemens. I'm just gonna bring that up a lot because that's who I work for. So you start off as a level 3, which is like, you're the tadpole in the pond. You're pretty much just doing what you're told and following whatever anyone else tells you to do. And then you get to be a level 4 and 5. They're kind of a combined class of you're you're now a service lead, so you can lead a service crew. So you go up there and maintenance the turbine. You're in charge of the paperwork, the guys up there, what you're doing for that specific day, all the paperwork for that day, and all the paperwork for that tower, because we have something called checklists for each tower. So when you're a lead, it puts a lot more, the word I'm looking for, a lot more responsibility on you as a service lead, but that also comes with a pay jump. And then there is a level 6, and those are your big dogs. Those are the troubleshooters. So if you're up a tower and something breaks or faults and you don't know what's going on, that's when you call them, and they'll come up there and assist you with troubleshooting the problem and fixing that. And that is Siemens is kind of going away with the levels too. They're going as so now you start as a technician, a service technician, and then a senior technician. But it's all the same thing. So I still go by levels. But just so if any of you do end up getting hired with Siemens and you don't see level 3, 4, and 5, don't be worried. It's still the same thing. And then there's also a whole bunch of little things that you can be certified in, like bolt tightening and tensioning. That's a TMSA. There's a whole bunch of other little things that you can do in your career in wind to make the dollar signs go up. Because I mean, that's pretty much what we all want, right? Is more money. And there's definitely room for advancement and a whole bunch of certifications that you can get to where you can get paid what you want to get paid.
Yeah, and just because I know you personally, there was a newer guy that was hired on there relatively recently, and he was able to go try to get certified. It may have been before he was ready, but that opportunity was available to him. You know, had he taken advantage? Did he take advantage of that?
Who are we talking about?
I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. Logan, yeah.
Yep, he did. He's going to White Cloud, Missouri.
Yeah. So.
And I can actually touch base on that real quick, and then I'll get on to Marcus's question. So my personal friend, I got him a job out here, and he turned out not to like Ely as an area, which is fine. And he's only been here less than a year, and he's now transferring to a site in Missouri that's being built, and it'll be running in August. So there are, if you apply for a job and you're like, oh, but it's not near my family or it's not where I want to be right now, they make it so stupidly simple to transfer anywhere you want, anywhere that you can apply for. Like, let's say I want to live in Hawaii because I've had multiple opportunities to move there. I just said no. But if you want to move there, you might have to, bite the bullet and live in Ely, Nevada for a little, like a year, which is not the end of the world.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And then Marcus's question, are there any other careers related to yours?
What do you mean? What does he mean?
Well, I mean, you were telling me that there are guys that make the wings or whatever you call them,
okay.
to the turbines.
Yeah. So related to the wind industry, yeah, you can go all the way from what I do. You can put them up so you can build a farm, like put the tower sections on one by one, put the blades on one by one. And there's also the factory work, which you can also do throughout Siemens, which is like the blade composite guys. So they're in the factory making the blades, drilling the holes, laying down the fiberglass. And yeah, so every aspect of the turbine. So when you look at a turbine, every little part that you see is another job. So if you felt the need that you wanted to build the base bolts that hold the tower down to the ground, they have a job for that. All the way up to
Nice.
keeping them running.
And Miss Amy says, what is the hardest part of your job?
Waking up and going there.
Yeah, well, you do. That is a concern, though, because you wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
At 4:30, 5 o'clock.
4:30. May as well be 3.
Yeah. But that's a hard question. Hardest part. I guess when
I wonder whether it would be the paperwork, because I've heard you talk. I mean, the paperwork is pretty painstaking.
and
It's a lot of working with your hands, but then there's a lot of documentation and stuff too.
Yeah, so I guess that would be the hardest part of my job, and I wouldn't even say it's hard. It's just time consuming and overkill, in my opinion, because there is a lot of paperwork. You got about 10 checklists with 30 pages on each checklist when you're a lead tech. So that's kind of like, whoa, dude, that kind of sucks. But it's not that hard. It's just time consuming, but they do give you time after you finish the service. You can sit down at your desk and complete all that paperwork until it's done. So,
Yeah. And Miss Amy says, what advice would you give a student interested in your career?
do it as soon as you can. Because if I would have done this right out of high school, like where you guys, I'm not sure, Amy, if you're in high school, but if I would have done it straight out of high school, I mean, just think 18 to 24, that's 6 years that you could be in the field, and you'd be 24 making, probably close to 150, 200 grand a year.
That's insane. I can't even, it doesn't even register with me.
And if you guys can think of your parents or your parents' friends, they don't make anywhere near that. They're lucky to bring home, 30,000 or whatever. And I want to touch base on too, it's not all about the money. It's also, I go to work stress free. I don't have to worry that anyone's going to be breathing down my neck when I get to work. It's virtually a stress free job. And that's super important. So if some of you haven't started your work career yet, you will soon. And having a stress free job is like impossible.
Yeah.
But in the wind division, you're going to get as close to that as possible, in my opinion. And that's more valuable than any dollar amount that they can get me, personally.
Absolutely. If you could pinpoint one skill a student must have in your industry, what would it be?
Be willing to learn, because if you're not willing to learn, it's probably not going to go well. And I don't mean, I got to sit down and figure out this equation or whatever it is. What I mean by learning is the senior tech that you will be working with, or your lead technician, just really, when they're teaching you something and they're showing you hands-on, just pay attention, learn, and ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question, especially if you're on my team. If you want me to explain the same thing 30 times, I will. About 29th time, I'll probably give you a little bit of attitude, but I'll still tell you. But yeah, just ask questions and learn. That's yeah.
Yeah. What about so what's your average day look like? So you
Yeah,
I mean
so
you wake up at 4:30.
I wake up at 4:30, and I'm one of those weirdos. I'll take a shower in the morning or whatever, and then I'll mosey my way on into work and get there about 6:40, 6:45. We have a safety meeting that starts at 7 o'clock with our customers. So the people who actually purchase the wind turbines, and it's their farm, their towers, those are the big dogs. So you answer to them, do what they say, and that's it. So yeah, we'll do a safety meeting with them for about 7 to 7:15, and then you'll go out in the shop. You'll get all your tools ready for the task at hand that day, and then you'll continue to do your paperwork. So your pre-task plan, which consists of all the activities that you're going to do for that day, and it gets pretty in depth. So even loading your tools into the back of the truck will be on there, driving to the certain tower that you'll be at, and then you'll start work on your specific task for that day. So you'll be up tower from, let's say, 8 o'clock, and then you'll come down at 2 o'clock, and then you'll leave at 3.
So most days you're out of there by 3.
Yeah. Yep. I mean,
And speaking from experience, I've done a lot of different jobs, prison guards, and I worked in a copper mine for a while and whatnot. And, working straight days, there's something to be said about that. I mean, just that perk alone, in my opinion, is a pretty big perk.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can touch base personally real fast. So I have a lot of friends that work at the mine that they have to go back and forth. So there'll be 7 nights and then 7 days. And that can be like pretty detrimental to your sleeping habits. And
Yeah.
that doesn't sound fun at all. But knowing that this industry, you're working from 7 to 3, and that's it. There's no, oh, you got to switch to nights this week. There's none of that.
Right. And we had a question, what are your main responsibilities? So what primarily are you responsible for in a workday?
Me personally?
Or a technician?
So just to make sure that the task that you write down at the beginning of the day, making sure that gets done. And if it doesn't, have a reasoning for that. So your main responsibilities are what you'll write down your responsibilities during the day, like at the beginning of your day on your pre-task plan. So if you plan on doing an annual service, you'll write annual service, and that's what you'll be expected to complete that day. That's your responsibility for that specific day. And if it changes, that's fine. You just gotta have that in documentation that you changed your scope of work for this reason. So if you go up there to do an annual service and you realize something's broke, that it's not working, you don't have to be like, oh crap, it's broke, I have to wait till tomorrow. No, you just switch your job task, and whatever you're doing that day is your responsibility. Does that answer your question, Sienna?
Yeah, and I think really what you're getting after is the idea is that these things never break. Obviously, they do at times break, but probably your main responsibility would be to just maintenance these things on a regular basis to make sure that they're running smoothly so that you don't have a catastrophic problem to where it's going to be down for weeks or months.
Yeah, that's why we have preventative maintenance. That's why we do an annual service. So as long as you're doing your annual service, your main responsibility is to watch them spin. As dumb as that sounds.
Jag, Nevada. Marcus, are you hiring?
And Ely specifically?
You could talk about Ely specifically, and then maybe some other locations. I mean,
Yeah.
Siemens is huge; it's worldwide, right? So
Yeah, so Siemens is across the globe. So USA, China, Zimbabwe, or wherever you feel you need to work. Yes, they are hiring constantly. There is about 20, 23 farms going up just this summer, and that is massive. That is huge to the growth of Siemens specifically. Like on average, like other companies like Suzlon or Vestas, they're putting up 10. Siemens is putting up more than double. So
wow.
there is jobs like crazy right now. They can't, they're almost building too fast. If that makes sense. There is so much room for people to get hired in various places. I mean, we were just looking like Siemens has an internal website with like it'll send me emails whenever a job site opens. And I mean, just this week there was one in West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, Texas. Like so, there is yes. That's the to answer your question. Yes, they are hiring.
Yes. Short answer, yes. So just to kind of recap where we've been, this is a wind energy technician job. It takes about, you could come in fresh off the street with no education, although people with education are probably have some preferential treatment as far as the hiring process and just getting to that first interview. The education itself, if you go for a certificate program, be about 7 or 8 months. If you go for an associate's degree, it'd be about 14 months. The pay is outstanding, $75,000 a year. If you become a travel technician, it's $75,000 a year plus $90 of per diem a day. Per diem is non-taxed, and it works out to about $30,000 more. So you'd be sitting at a little over $105,000 doing that job. The average day, it's a daytime job. You work from the time the sun rises till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so long as nothing catastrophic happens where you're having to stay late. That rarely happens. I think I could speak for Luke on that. And the main task is preventative maintenance. So you're just, greasing things. You're putting oil in things. You're, uh, you know, uh, looking at the structural integrity of the tower, making sure that it's safe and that nothing's breaking in the future. So, man, if any of you wanted to get a hold of me so that I could get a hold of Luke for you, my email's M as in Matt, M Bauman, Bauman, and that's at J4NG.org. And I would be able to, I mean, I talk to Luke every day, so it wouldn't be hard. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind helping you through the process. But this is a tremendous opportunity. I mean, we have the gold mines and the copper mines around here, and they pay well. But this pays double what those guys are making. So, did you have any closing remarks, Luke?
Yeah, so I did want to touch a little bit on when you type it in on Google, wind turbine salary, it's gonna feed you a line of crap. It's gonna say $35,000 to $40,000 a year, and that couldn't be any further from the truth if it wanted to be. So don't get discouraged if you're like looking it up and it says, "Oh, I'm only gonna make $40,000 a year." This guy's an idiot. That's not the case. Trust me, I live it every day, and it changed my family's life, and it was the best thing I could have done with my job career at this time. So I encourage
Yeah,
anyone to get into it to do it, and don't let anything slow you down from doing it.
yeah, and Marcus, if you could bring up my email, click on that comment so people can see it. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, Luke. It's amazing, people think of rural Nevada, especially White Pine, and they think, man, there's just no jobs out there. But I mean, we have the copper mines, we've got the hemp farm that's fully operational now. We've got the wind farm out there in Spring Valley. So there's plenty of jobs out here that are paying significantly better than you'd be making, and doing better work than you'd be doing in the city. Working in a factory, or at some retail place or something. So
Yeah, definitely. And you can also share my email on there too, Matt, if they want to email me and ask questions or whatever.
okay. Marcus said his screen froze. I was just kind of delaying so he could put my email up there. What's your email, Luke?
.smith.ls@siemensgamesa.com. And if you guys look for Siemens, it will say Siemens Gamesa because they merged with a Spanish company that they bought. So it'll say Siemens Gamesa, but just know it's the same company.
Okay. And I don't have the ability to put that email up there right now, but I'll throw it up there. And I think Marcus is still frozen, but I appreciate having you, talking to the Jag kids in Nevada, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem. You guys have a good day and email me with any questions.
Okay, cool. And I'll be sure to put that email up there. The awkward thing about this is Marcus is the one controlling the video, and I can't close out of it. But anyways, I guess I'll just X out. See you, sir. Thanks for your help.
Yep.
Oh, there's the email. mbauman@j4ng.org. And then I'll be sure to post in the comments afterwards Luke's email. All right, Marcus, if you could sign us out, that would be beneficial.